The courtroom was too quiet. The kid, Evan, sat 2 rows behind me, hands trembling against his knees. His parents stared forward, faces gray, while the opposing attorney flipped another stack of papers. Every eye in that room seemed to burn into me. I wasn't supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to know this much, but I did. And when the judge asked if anyone else wished to speak before ruling, I arose. My heart pounded, but my voice didn't waver. "I have evidence," I said, "and it changes everything." It started months earlier, with a text that wasn't meant for me. A Thursday night, around 10, my phone buzzed while I was rinsing dishes. I glanced at the screen. Unknown number, short message. "Evan, don't worry. The loan went through. I used your info. Just stay quiet." At first, I thought it was spam. Wrong number. Easy delete. But the name stuck. Evan. There was only one Evan I knew well enough for my brain to lock onto. The neighbor's kid, 17. Quiet, lanky, hair always falling in his eyes. He mowed lawns in summer, walked their old golden retriever after school. Good kid, and now someone was telling him to stay quiet about a loan. I told myself to ignore it. Mistakes happen. People text wrong numbers all the time. But then I looked again. The words weren't random, they dripped with intent. I couldn't shake it. The next morning, I saw Evan walking to the bus stop. Usually, he nodded or mumbled a quick hello. This time, he avoided my eyes. His shoulders hunched like he was bracing for a storm only he could feel. "Hey, Evan," I said. He stopped, blinked, swallowed. Hey, you good?" "Yeah, fine." His voice cracked. He tugged his backpack higher and turned away too fast. Something was wrong. By Saturday, I caught him in the driveway wrestling with a stack of envelopes. When one slipped, I bent to pick it up before he could stop me. It was addressed to him. Well, his name at least. But the letterhead read, First National Loan Services. The look on his face wasn't teenage annoyance. It was fear. He snatched the envelope and shoved it into his bag. "It's nothing," he said, already walking off. "Nothing doesn't come in heavy white envelopes stamped final notice." I should have left it. Not my business. But the truth was, I couldn't stand watching someone else get swallowed by a financial trap. Years ago, I'd signed a loan I didn't understand. I'd trusted the wrong person. It nearly wrecked me. Only difference was, I was 25, not 17. Evan reminded me of myself back then. Too quiet. Too trusting. I couldn't let it happen again. I decided to pay closer attention. And that's when I noticed who kept stopping by their house. Mr. Hanley, our other neighbor, smooth talker, late 40s, worked in real estate investments. He had that salesman smile that never touched his eyes. He'd been circling their family ever since they moved in, and now he was suddenly helping Evan's dad with bills, offering financial advice. One night, I overheard raised voices through the open garage. Evan's dad insisting he didn't want more debt, Hanley assuring him it's already handled. That's when the puzzle clicked. Hanley was using Evan's name, his social, his clean slate, and Evan knew. I tried to talk to him again, caught him on the sidewalk. "You don't have to carry this alone," I told him. His eyes darted. His jaw clenched. For a second, I thought he'd break, but instead, he shook his head. "You don't get it. If I say anything, he'll ruin my dad. Just drop it." Okay. That's when I realized this wasn't just fraud. It was leverage. Hanley had his hooks deep into that family, and Evan was trapped. 2 weeks later, the Hanleys hosted one of their backyard get-togethers. Burgers, beer, too loud music. I almost didn't go, but curiosity got me. At one point, I stepped inside to use the bathroom and saw something I wasn't meant to. On the kitchen counter lay a folder, loan documents, contracts, applications, all signed, all with Evan's name scrawled in shaky handwriting. Except the signature wasn't his. I knew because I'd seen Evan write his name 100 times on deliveries, permission slips, even doodled on his sneakers. The curves and slants didn't match. Hanley was forging, and if it came to light, Evan would take the fall. I snapped a quick photo with my phone before slipping back outside. My hands were shaking. Sure enough, the storm hit. A month later, Evan's parents were slapped with a lawsuit for unpaid loans. Except the loans weren't in their names. They were in Evan's. The bank's attorney didn't care about forged signatures. They had documents. They had consent. The Hanleys, of course, played innocent. We had no idea. That poor boy must have been misled. And Evan, God, the kid looked ready to cave. He was terrified of turning on Hanley. That's when I knew it had to be me. I didn't sleep much those weeks. I stayed up researching, digging through county records, pulling threads. Every late-night rabbit hole added a piece. Hanley wasn't just messing with Evan, he'd done this before. A cousin in another state. A girlfriend who suddenly disappeared. Always the same pattern. Loans, fraud, silence, but rumors weren't enough. I needed something solid. So I started shadowing him, watching when he left, tracking where he went. At first it felt obsessive, but the longer I watched, the more I noticed he was sloppy. He kept records. He carried a leather briefcase everywhere, stuffed with documents he couldn't risk leaving behind. I just needed one shot at it. It came one rainy night. Hanley stopped at a bar on the edge of town. Stayed longer than usual. I waited in my truck, lights off, until he stumbled out alone, unsteady, fumbling for his keys. He dropped the briefcase. Didn't even notice. By the time he drove off, I had it in my passenger seat. Inside were contracts, notes, even text transcripts printed out. My stomach turned as I flipped through. He wasn't just targeting Evan, he had a whole system of exploiting people too scared to fight back. But there it was. The original text thread. The one that had landed on my phone by mistake. He'd been juggling multiple conversations and one slipped through. Proof, that was my ticket. Which brings us back to the courtroom. The judge asked if anyone else wished to speak. My moment, I have evidence. I said. My voice cut through the silence. I laid it out. The forged signatures, the text transcripts, the pattern of fraud across states. I handed over copies. Crisp and undeniable. Hanley went pale. His lawyer stammered. Evan looked at me like I'd just opened the cage he'd been trapped inside for months. The judge recessed for review. When we returned, the ruling was swift. The loans were fraudulent. Evan cleared, and Hanley, well, suddenly, he wasn't smirking anymore. Everyone thought that was the end. Evan free, his family relieved, justice served. But here's the thing, people like Hanley don't quit. They wriggle, they scheme, they find new prey. So I made sure he couldn't. Before I returned the briefcase, I slipped one folder out. A folder tied to a shell company Hanley had been hiding. And I sent it, not to the court, not to the cops, but to the IRS. By the time Hanley tried to recover, it was too late. They'd frozen his accounts, seized his assets, dragged him into a federal investigation. This wasn't just a neighborhood squabble anymore. This was the kind of charge you don't crawl back from. When the agents finally took him away, Evan whispered, "Thank you." I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I hadn't done it for him. I'd done it for myself. And I never lose twice.